On a Sunday in December, Mrs. Grace Moresby, who is the mother of 10-year-old Tracy, called on Geoffrey Hainton and accused him of an indecent assault on her child in a small suburban cinema the afternoon before. Cases of child molesting are not uncommon. Hundreds are tried by our magistrates every year, but this case is different. It was Geoffrey Hainton, the alleged child molester, who called in the police. And it is not Geoffrey Hainton who is sitting in the dock today, but the mother of the child who is said to have been sexually assaulted.
And I'd like to repeat, we are not here to consider a case of sexual offence against the child. We are here to try Mrs. Grace Moresby on the very serious charge of attempted blackmail. Now, I shall be calling only two witnesses, Mr. Geoffrey Hainton, who has brought the charge against Mrs. Moresby, and who will testify in this court that she completely fabricated the very damaging accusation of a sexual attack against her daughter in order to extort money from him. I shall also be calling Mr. Lawford Brown, CBE, the eminent theatrical agent. I call Geoffrey Hainton.
What is your religion?
Church of England.
Take the book in your right hand and read aloud the words on the card.
I swear by Almighty God that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
You are Geoffrey Donald Hainton of 12 Northfield Terrace, Fulchester.
I am.
And you are an actor by profession.
That is correct.
Would you regard yourself as a successful actor?
Or perhaps rather as a contented one. I'm not famous at all. You could say that I was a jobbing actor. Most of my work is in television and films. I make a comfortable living out of it. I have a pleasant house here in Fulchester, run a car.
On the afternoon of Saturday, the 7th of April, you drove to London to visit the Majestic Cinema in Talbot Road, New Cross.
Yes.
Why did you travel so far to go to the cinema?
Well, I had a small part in a film there, which I'd missed on the first time round. I wished to go and take a look at my performance.
Will you tell the court exactly what occurred in the cinema?
Yes, it was a Saturday afternoon. The cinema was full of children. A lot of rushing about and shouting. It was really rather noisy. It was quite a bad film, so I expect they were bored. Well, I didn't mind the din at first. In fact, it was really rather amusing. Some of the wisecracks they were shouting at the screen were really very, very witty. But in my row, there was one little girl sitting in the middle of my row who was very irritating and troublesome.
That would be Tracy Moresby, daughter of the accused.
Yes, she kept getting up from her seat and pushing past me to go and see the other children. They didn't seem to welcome her company. And then a few minutes later, she pushed back past me again.
Did you speak to her about this?
Yes, about 3 times. I asked her very politely, would she please remain in her seat? But she didn't take any notice at all. Despite all the jostling and pushing, she went on pushing past me and behaved as if I wasn't there at all, as if I didn't exist.
Tell me, Mr. Hainton, did it not occur to you to move your seat?
Well, I didn't feel I should be driven from my seat by this child. I paid for my ticket. I wanted to watch the film in peace. Anyway, I felt that she would follow me if I did move.
What made you so sure of that?
Well, she was so obviously enjoying making a nuisance of herself. The way she pretended to ignore me was so elaborate. I realized it was a battle of wills. I realized she wanted to make me lose my temper.
And did she succeed?
Yes, eventually she did. On the last occasion she pushed past me, she was very rough indeed. She banged my knees, stamped on my feet, and I spoke to her very sharply. I said, "Stop that at once." And then she spoke to me, or rather shouted.
What did she say?
She said, "Shut your face, you stupid old freak." Well, of course, I didn't know what to say to this, but I really suddenly saw red. I smacked her on the leg. Not hard, I didn't want to hurt her, but I wanted her to realize that she couldn't get away with this sort of rudeness.
Did you touch her in any other way?
No, the slap was purely a reflex action.
And how did she react to this?
Well, her reaction was extreme. I was quite taken aback by it. She stood stock still for a moment, her face contorted with rage, and then she spat in my face. Well, I know this is ridiculous, but I was very shocked. It wasn't like a child at all. It was all too powerful, too violent.
And after she spat in your face?
Well, she got up and left the cinema, and I got up to follow her. I was very upset and concerned. It occurred to me this was no ordinary child, but one who was suffering from an unstable psychological state.
Your feeling for the child at this point was one of concern?
Oh, very much so. I mean, that little face, dreadful little face, like an animal, like a savage. Yes, I was very upset indeed, but I felt that I might have been over harsh with her. That's why I followed her.
Did you catch her up?
No, Well, yes. That is, she came back into the cinema with her mother, who I understand runs the kiosk in the foyer. And then the whole thing became quite chaotic.
How do you mean chaotic?
Well, the child was making a terrible racket. I was trying to explain to the mother how sorry I was, and she seemed willfully to misunderstand me. I mentioned something about the child's state of mind. She got into a terrible temper and said she would go to see the manager.
Did she, in fact, get the manager?
Well, I don't know. I mean, the whole thing had got so out of proportion and ridiculous that I thought there was no point in me staying here to watch this ridiculous melodrama, so I simply left.
Thinking that that would be the end of the episode?
Oh, yes, I thought that was that. Of course, I was very unhappy about this, but yes, I didn't think I'd see either of them again.
But you did see the mother again, Mrs. Moresby?
Yes, very next day. Early on Sunday morning, there was a ring at my front doorbell, and there she was on the doorstep, and she said, "I'm Tracy's mother. I've come about yesterday afternoon."
And what happened then?
She pushed past me into my house, marched into my drawing room, sat down, very calm, very businesslike. And then I couldn't believe my ears when I heard her say, "I've decided not to put the police on to you, but you must make it up to me." I asked her what she thought she was saying. She said, "You know very well what I'm saying. You interfered with my daughter yesterday afternoon. I could put you in prison." Well, so astounded at this, I said, "I think you'd better leave my house," but she wouldn't budge. She just sat there and said, "I want £100. She said it several times. Well, I was absolutely thunderstruck by this. And then I began to realize that she'd come to my house to blackmail me. And then I got very angry indeed.
And what did you do?
Well, I told her, of course, she knew perfectly well I had no intention of interfering with her daughter. I told her if she thought she could victimize me, she was very much mistaken. I asked her how she dared say these disgusting lies, and did she realize that she was in my house blackmailing me, and it should be she who was in prison, not me.
Now, what was her reaction to this?
Well, one of rage, same as in the cinema. I was quite hysterical. I mean, she went on and on and on, saying that if I didn't give her the money, she'd have me in prison for life. All sorts of things. Well, I didn't know what to do. I thought, well, I'd better call the police. So I went over the phone and I did.
Had you the intention, when you telephoned the police, of charging her with attempted blackmail?
No. I just really wanted her out of the house.
But when the police came, you did, in fact, make this formal charge.
That was uncanny. Directly the police arrived, she became quite calm. She said she'd come round to my house to find out if what her daughter had told her was the truth. And then she said, I offered her money to keep quiet about it. But I was so appalled by this malicious invention that I told the police what in fact had happened and said I wished to charge her there and then.
Had you at any point during this interview with Mrs. Moresby offered her money or suggested anything that might be interpreted as an offer of money?
No, nothing at all.
Now, Mr. Hayton, I must ask you if there was anything you said or did to Tracy Moresby in the cinema that could possibly be interpreted as having a sexual intention.
Absolutely nothing whatsoever.
Has anyone at any time before this Sunday suggested that you had committed a criminal offence?
No.
Indeed, have you ever before been seen by the police in connection with any criminal matter?
No.
Thank you, Mr. Hayton. No further questions?
Mr. Hayton, you do admit to touching Tracy Moresby on the leg, is that so?
I think I said I slapped her, yes.
Where on the leg did you touch her?
My lord, I object to my learned friend's use of the word touch. Mr. Hayton has said he slapped the child. He used the word touch is misleading and implies a motive other than anger.
Yes, I think that is a fair objection. But quite apart from that, Miss Tate, does it matter what happened in the cinema? We must keep in the forefront of our minds that it is not Mr. Hayton who is on trial here in this court today.
But my client is, my lord. And the prosecution have been at great lengths to point out that nothing happened in the cinema that day that could possibly warrant the accusations that Mr. Hayton said my client made against him. In other words, that they were a complete and groundless fantasy. Now, both Mrs. Moresby and her daughter will testify that they were neither fantastic nor groundless, and that because they happened, Mr. Hayton freely offered money.
Yes, I see. But we must keep well in mind that we shall be asking the jury to reach a verdict on a charge of blackmail and not on one of sexual assault.
I'll ask you the question again, Mr. Hayton. Where exactly on the leg did you touch Tracy Moresby?
In the region of the knee, the back of the knee or the calf, perhaps.
And only with one hand?
Well, naturally. How do you take two hands to slap someone?
Mr. Hainton, I put it to you that after slapping Tracy Moresby on the leg, you put both hands round her thighs and you touched her private parts.
It's just not true. She's lying.
Well, we've not yet heard from Tracy, but you have told us that she spat in your face, and you said that this was what you considered to be a disproportionate and somewhat shocking response to something as simple as a slap. Now, I agree with you. It was shocking. But it was not you you who were shocked, Mr. Hainton, but Tracy Moresby. Shocked by something far more disturbing than an ordinary slap on the leg. Shocked in the way that you suggest, enough to respond like a little animal in a terrifying and menacing situation.
I just slapped her, as I said, nothing else. For God's sake, if I had done what you are suggesting, do you think I would admit to slapping her? Why not deny the whole thing, if I was prepared to lie about some of it?
Well, you're not here to ask questions, Mr. Hainton, but I'll answer that one. You knew perfectly well that a total denial would be useless. A child had cried out, had burst into tears, there'd been an angry scene. You knew that you would be obliged to admit that something had happened, and naturally enough, it would be better for you if that something were nothing more innocuous than an ordinary slap on the leg. Now, if I may be permitted to ask a question, are you seriously suggesting that Tracy Moresby deliberately provoked you into attacking her?
I don't think I did attack her.
Now, perhaps you don't, but in fact, that is exactly what you did. Now, you describe this situation as a battle of wills, and yet you remained in your seat, subjecting yourself to this pushing and jostling as you described it, so you too were enjoying this battle of wills. Far from being an annoying situation, the repeated physical contact was giving you pleasure and excitement. And so you decided to stay where you were, hoping that the opportunity would engage for you not only to be touched by this child, but to touch her yourself, to attack her.
I certainly wasn't enjoying any experience of pleasure or excitement. It was just extremely irritating. The slap was merely an impulsive and very natural reaction to the whole situation. I did it before I knew I'd done it.
But if you were finding it all extremely irritating, as you say, then why did you not take the obvious measure of changing your seat?
As I have said already, I thought that if I moved, she would follow me. And it seemed to me that the situation would get a great deal more irritating than it was already.
Yes. Well. Now, you've said that you had a part in this film.
Yes, that's right.
Would you tell us something about it?
Well, it's quite a small part. Interesting, just the one scene.
And at what point in the film did this scene take place?
Well, about 20 minutes to half an hour after the beginning, I should say.
I suppose it was virtually impossible for you to watch the scene with all this disturbance. That must have been very frustrating.
No, there was no frustration on that score. The real row started after halfway through the film. I'd seen my part already.
You'd already seen your part? Now, at the beginning of your testimony, you said that you drove up to this particular cinema from Fulchester in order to have a look at your performance. And yet, after having seen your performance, you stayed on in spite of the irritating behavior of Tracy Moresby and in spite of the fact that it was not a good film.
Well, I think I said it might be a boring film for children.
No, Mr. Hainton. You said it was quite a bad film, I'm afraid, so I expect they were bored. But it seems that you, Mr. Hainton, were quite prepared to put up not only with a bad film, but with an extremely uncomfortable situation. It would seem, Mr. Hainton, that you were not bored at all. Mr. Hainton, you would agree, then, that Tracy Moresby was in a bad state?
I think I said I thought she was an overexcitable little child.
And you felt concern for her?
That's right.
At what point did you cease to feel this concern?
Well, I didn't stop feeling concern. It was when the mother went off the handle. When the mother left to get the manager, I thought the whole thing had got out of hand.
You didn't consider that if you yourself explained the situation to the manager, a neutral person, that between you, you could have perhaps pacified the mother and calmed down the little girl?
Didn't seem likely to me.
So, as you say, you simply left?
It seemed the best thing to do.
Well, not only the best thing, but the only thing. I put it to you that you were already on your way out when Mrs. Moresby came back into the cinema with Tracy.
No, I've told you.
You had no intention of following the little girl to make amends, so you made your getaway, leaving the cinema at a near run.
Oh, that's absolutely ridiculous. I did not run out.
I said a near run, Mr. Hainton. Obviously, a man running from the cinema would be bound to attract attention.
I'd hardly describe my departure as a near run.
But it was convenient for you to get out fast.
Well, I didn't mean that at all. I made a decision. I carried it out in a suitable manner.
I see. Well, let's come to the events of the following day, shall we? Now, when you saw Mrs. Moresby standing at your door, you must have wondered how she'd managed to track you down, as it were.
It occurred to me she might have traced my address through my car.
Oh, really, Mr. Hainton? Well, that would have meant that first she discovered you left the cinema, and then she'd have to get outside in order to see you driving off.
I left my car near the front of the cinema. It took me a little time to get to it.
As you'd left by a side entrance.
Yes.
So you thought that perhaps she did see you driving off, and then, of course, she'd have to go to the police, and they'd have to trace the registration number, and it was Saturday evening.
Well, I suppose so. These are little details. It was just a first notion that crossed my mind.
So one of the first notions that crossed your mind on seeing Mrs. Moresby on your doorstep was that the police were involved already. It must have been a considerable relief to you to realize that that was not the case.
No. You see,
At any rate, she did find out where you lived, and she came to your house, and almost immediately after she'd arrived, there was this offer of money.
Yes. No. No, what? Not offer.
I beg your pardon. I meant to say a demand for money.
Yes, there was a demand. £100. I'd like to repeat what I said earlier. I never offered her money. Never.
But you did say, did you not, that she was quite calm and businesslike when she first arrived?
Yes. Do we have to go over all this again?
Yes, it does seem a little bit repetitive, Miss Tate. Can you give us an idea of what you are driving at with these questions?
My lord, I'm simply curious to know why Mr. Hainton resorted to the extreme measure of calling in the police, when surely any rational man would realize that no effort should be spared before taking such drastic action.
Now, Mr. Hainton has already explained that he believed that he was being blackmailed by a person who, in his view, was not capable of acting rationally. Are you suggesting that that wasn't sufficient reason for him to call the police?
My lord, my case is that Mr. Hainton left the cinema on the previous afternoon because he specifically did not want any discussion about what happened. Now, here we are with the same situation on the following day. A trivial and embarrassing incident had spiraled into a menacing situation, and yet he forewent any effort at discussion, any attempt to bring order to chaos.
I couldn't bring any order out of chaos. Everything moved so fast. It was well beyond my control.
Not at all, Mr. Hainton. You were in complete control. You telephoned the police.
I was driven to that measure.
Yes, you were. But not quite in the way that you say. Telephoning the police was a deliberate and calculated tactic on your part, an inescapable tactic, was it not?
I don't understand you.
Oh, I think you do, Mr. Hainton. I think you do. Your back was against the wall. Now, may I be permitted to tell you the dilemma that you were in? Mrs. Moresby turns up at your house to find out for certain what happened on the previous afternoon. Now, as you say, no attempt at discussion was any use because you knew that her accusations were true, and so you were afraid. You offered her money to hush up the whole situation. But when she refused, you telephoned the police before she could do, because you knew that they would be called in anyway. Your mind must have moved very quickly, Mr. Hainton. If you called the police and fabricated this tale of attempted blackmail, then you would be the victim. It would be your word against hers. And you gambled that they would believe your word. Now, that is the position. Do you deny it?
I can and I do. I deny it absolutely.
Just one last question, Mr. Hainton. Are you in the habit of visiting the cinema on Saturday afternoons?
I do occasionally go to the cinema on a Saturday afternoon. I'd hardly call it a habit.
And always alone?
Usually alone.
Thank you, Mr. Hainton. No further questions.
Mr. Hainton, I should first just like to dispel the rather sinister overtones of my learned friend's last question to you. You were a very ardent cinema-goer, are you not?
Yes, I see a film 2 or 3 times a week.
Is it your custom to go by yourself?
Yes, I prefer to go to the films on my own. Films are my hobby, really.
Mr. Hainton, have you ever had occasion to appear in court before?
Only once, as a juror, actually.
Mr. Hainton, the word fear has been used in this court. In the cinema, or when Mrs. Moresby came to visit you in your house, did you at any time feel afraid?
No, not at all. I had nothing to be afraid of.
What was the sequence of emotions that you felt during Mrs. Moresby's visit to you?
Well, at first, one of total amazement, and then of real anger when I realized what she was up to. And then, when I saw her stamping and raging around the room, a feeling of pity. It was very sad. When the police arrived and she became calm and started trotting out her neat little lies, I felt an emotion approaching that of horror. That's why I knew I must make this charge.
So one way or another, the rational man took quite an emotional beating during those 2 days.
And the physical one, too. When I got home on Sunday evening, I was so drained and shaky, I rang my doctor to see if he'd come and see me, and he thought the whole situation might have some effect on my heart.
You have a heart condition?
Well, it's nothing very serious. I get a little touch of angina, troubles me from time to time.
Did your decision to leave the cinema that afternoon have anything to do with a fear of the effect on your heart?
No. I hardly ever think about it. I've never had a severe attack, just the occasional odd twinge now and again. No, I left the cinema because I thought it was the only thing I could do under the circumstances.
Were you at all inhibited by the thought of the possible damage that could be done to your career?
No, not at all. As I've said, I'm not famous at all.
What was your predominant motive in calling the police?
Well, I thought this woman was behaving wickedly. I'm a stubborn man and not easily frightened, but supposing I'd been someone of a much weaker nature, what if she'd tried to trap someone else and intimidate them? I believe that if I had been weak and had given in and been afraid of how I might look in this situation, the demands for money would have gone on and on and on. And don't forget, she was prepared to involve her own child in this web of conspiracy and deceit. I'm not a revengeful man. I think really perhaps I'm a little puritanical. But I believed what this woman was doing was wicked.
In calling the police, did you make what has been called this lightning tactical move in order to appear in a more favorable light?
No. I mean, even if she had telephoned the police and accused me of being a child molester, we'd have had to have the whole story as we've had today. I mean, the position would have been reversed, but I would have had to experience the same things that I had to do today. I don't suppose it would have been any more grueling or humiliating or fatiguing a day from this one.
Thank you, Mr. Hayton. I have no further questions.
You may leave the witness box, Mr. Hinton.
I must speak to Miss Tate. It's extremely important.
I'm sorry, sir, that's impossible. Miss Tate is in the court at the moment.
Well, how can I get in touch with her? I must speak to her today.
Well, just wait here a moment, sir. I'll go in the court and see if I can find somebody to come and help you.
Can I help you, Mr. Bray, John Bray? It's imperative that I speak to Miss Tate.
Is this a personal matter, may I ask, sir, or a professional one?
It's about this case. You must tell Miss Tate that I have some information which may be a great deal of use to her. I am willing to appear as a witness in this case.
The case of the Queen against Moresby will be resumed tomorrow in the Crown Court. Geoffrey Hainton, a 59-year-old actor, claims that Mrs. Grace Moresby came to his house in Fulchester on April the 8th and accused him of making an indecent assault on her 10-year-old daughter Tracy in a small London cinema the previous afternoon. He says she threatened to go to the police unless he gave her £100. He entirely repudiated her accusation, saying all he had done was slap Tracy on the leg for being rude and noisy in the cinema. He called the police himself and charged Mrs. Moresby with attempted blackmail.
You are Michael Clarence Lawford Brown, CBE, of 3 Emerson Mews, London, Southwest 1.
I am.
You are a theatrical agent and managing director of the firm Lawford Brown Limited.
That's correct.
You're also very well known as the founder and originator of the Old People's Village in Wiltshire, Oak Valley.
Well, I doubt very much if I'm well known, but naturally I'm pleased that Oak Valley should be.
It was for your work in starting this village that you were awarded the CBE by Her Majesty the Queen 2 years ago.
Yes, I had that honour.
How long have you known Geoffrey Hainton?
It must be about 35 years. Yes, I first met him in 1938.
How did you meet?
Well, I just started my career as a theatrical agent. I'd come down from Oxford and I was travelling around the country seeing plays and looking for talented actors. Geoffrey was my first discovery. I saw him giving a remarkably good performance as a juvenile lead in a musical comedy in Wales, Little Repertory Company. I recognised that he'd be the perfect man for a part in a West End musical that was just about to go into production. I persuaded him to sign up with me as his agent. He did get the part. He came to London, and I may say he was a huge success.
And you've been his agent ever since?
Yes, I have.
Can you remember where you were on Sunday, the 8th of April of this year?
Yes, I went to see some friends in Fulchester, and I thought I'd drop in on Geoffrey.
Mr. Hainton?
Yes.
Did you visit him?
Not exactly.
Now, what do you mean?
Well, I'd parked the car, and I was just coming up to the door when I heard a most dreadful row going on.
Oh, can you describe what you heard in more detail?
Yes, I heard a woman's voice raised. She sounded very angry, almost hysterical.
What did you do?
Well, I'm afraid I went away. I didn't want to walk into a scene.
Were there any police cars outside the house at this time?
No, I think it must have been before they called.
Were you able to hear anything the woman was saying?
Yes, there was one phrase which stuck in my mind that was repeated. The woman was saying, "I want £100."
You heard the woman say, "I want £100." You're quite sure of that?
Quite sure.
Thank you, Mr. Lawford Brown.
Sir Lawford Brown, were you visiting Mr. Hainton on business?
No, I was in the district and I decided to drop in.
You were not going in to discuss business?
No, that's correct.
So that your relationship has not been solely a professional one?
Oh, no, indeed. We became friends almost on meeting. We both were early successes in the theatre. I took a very special interest in Geoffrey's career, his Svengali, as it were. We saw a great deal of each other. We were tremendous friends. When the war came, we joined up together, and strangely enough, we ended up in the same prison camp in Italy.
And the friendship continued after the war?
Yes, it did. In fact, I was the one who persuaded Geoffrey to stay on in the theatre after the war. He had a slight limp from a war wound, and he was worried whether it might affect his chances as an actor. I soon talked him out of that.
You would say, then, that you were one of his closest friends?
Yes, I would. I doubt if anyone ever knew him better than I did.
You would judge him to be a man of integrity?
Oh, great integrity. Probably sounds a little old-fashioned, but I think Geoffrey is a man of honour.
Sir Lawford Brown, knowing Geoffrey Hainton as you do, can you imagine him inventing a serious charge like blackmail against an innocent person?
Not possibly. It's utterly unthinkable. The idea of his victimising an innocent person is quite inconceivable.
Has he ever, to your knowledge, indicated that he had any tendencies whatsoever that might have included sexual assaults against a young child?
Absolutely not. He's one of the most normal and balanced people I've ever known.
Thank you, Mr. Lawford Brown.
Mr. Lawford Brown, I think I heard you mention that it was you who persuaded Mr. Hainton not to give up the theatre after the war.
Yes, that's true.
You said he was worried about his limb impeding his career as an actor.
Yes.
And he'd seriously considered taking some other form of work.
Yes, well, he did talk of it, but as I say, he made more than a successful start in the theatre before the war. He was what in those days was called a matinee idol.
In musical comedy?
Yes.
But I presume that a limp would have, in fact, barred him from musical comedy parts.
Well, of course, that's what worried him. But as an agent, I knew that his pre-war reputation would secure him plenty of good offers, and it did. He had several very interesting leads in London immediately after the war.
And in the last 15 years or so, his work has been mostly films and television?
Yes, he's played many, many parts, very varied.
Mr. Lawford Brown, how many clients do you have on your books?
I think at the moment I have about 15 clients.
Now, that's a very small number of clients for a theatrical manager to represent, isn't it? But then I am instructed that you have a reputation for handling the careers of only a few people, for being rather uniquely exclusive.
Yes, it has been my practice for many years to represent a few artists. That way I find I can give them the detailed and personal attention they need.
And many of your clients are extremely well known. That's true, isn't it?
Yes, I look after the affairs of several very successful people.
Oh, I think you're too modest, Mr. Lawford Brown. I think it's true to say that all your clients are top-line stars with international reputations. With one exception. Geoffrey Hainton. Mr. Lawford Brown, why are you in court today?
I should have thought that was obvious. I'm here as a witness.
Yes, but what would you say were your motives for appearing as a witness today?
I really don't understand what you mean by motives.
I must say, neither do I, Miss Tate.
I'll rephrase the question, my lord. Mr. Lawford Brown, what persuaded you to come to court today?
Nothing persuaded me. I'm here because I want to be, because I feel I ought to be. I owe it to the cause of justice, if that doesn't sound too pompous. What other possible motives could I have?
Guilt, perhaps.
What did you say?
I said guilt, Mr. Lawford Brown. You agreed to appear as a witness for Geoffrey Hainton out of your strong sense of personal guilt and responsibility towards him. Now, that is true, isn't it?
I have never heard such ridiculous rubbish in my life.
Well, I go a little further, Mr. Lawford Brown, and say that you were not qualified to give the evidence you did in answer to his lordship's question. You do not know Geoffrey Hainton well enough.
He happens to be one of my closest friends.
Was, Mr. Lawford Brown. I don't know if you realize just how many times during your testimony you've used the past tense. We were tremendous friends, you said. I probably knew him better than anyone else. Now, I've no doubt that in the first years of your relationship you were tremendous friends, as you say. But can you tell us now just how many times you've actually seen him in the last 15 years?
I haven't the faintest idea. Many times. He's a frequent visitor to my house.
I am instructed that he visits your house exactly once a year in the company of 100 other people when you give your annual dinner. A very fashionable event that we can all read about in the papers.
He's always invited to my party, of course.
And is he invited to your house on other occasions, to dinner perhaps?
I don't give dinner parties. I find it more convenient to entertain in restaurants.
Well, do you entertain Mr. Hainton in restaurants? Are these the occasions of your frequent meetings?
Yes, we've often dined together, or lunched.
Well, could you give us a rough idea of how many times in the last 15 years?
I could not.
When was the most recent time?
Last week, actually.
To discuss this case?
Among other things.
And before that? What was the time before that that you had lunch or dined with Geoffrey Hainton?
I cannot possibly remember.
Are you a frequent visitor at his house here in Fulchester?
I hadn't seen Geoffrey's new place before that Sunday.
Mr. Hainton moved into his new place, as you call it, 9 years ago.
Madam, you cannot calculate friendship like statistics by the numbers of meetings, especially an old, enduring friendship.
I put it to you, Mr. Lawford Brown, that this particular old, enduring friendship waned in direct relationship to the waning of Mr. Hainton's professional career. The several interesting leads that you say he played after the war were, in fact, 3. In 3 plays that failed in the West End. And since then, Geoffrey Hainton has never worked in a London theatre again.
All actors have to weather flops in their lives. Geoffrey's made his way in films and television. An actor's career can always change course.
And in his case, it was a downward course. The matinee idol of before the war has now become the bit-part actor of today. I suggest, Mr. Lawford Brown, that you kept him on as a client because you felt sorry for him.
My charitable work, madam, does not overlap into my professional life. I run a business. I keep Geoffrey on as a client because he is a valuable actor. He's seldom out of work, I can assure you.
But not through your efforts, Mr. Lawford Brown. The detailed and personal attention that you accord upon your star clients is not accorded upon Mr. Geoffrey Hainton. Am I not correct in saying that he is the only one of your artists whose entire engagements, salaries, and all working conditions are handled entirely by your secretary?
Geoffrey is aware that my secretary keeps me informed of all the details of his work.
Mr. Lawford Brown, were you in the vicinity of Mr. Hainton's house on that Sunday?
Of course I was.
Because, you see, my client did not rage and become hysterical and demand £100. Let's just assume that you were outside, but that the voice you heard demanding £100 was not that of my client, but of Geoffrey Hainton. You have invented this reversal in order to assist the one-time friend you felt you'd let down in the past.
I have invented nothing.
Thank you, Mr. Lawford-Brown. No further questions.
Now, Mr. Lawford-Brown, when did you first hear about Geoffrey Hainton's involvement in this case?
Geoffrey rang me on the evening that the woman came to call.
So you were the first person he contacted over this trouble?
Yes?
Did he confide to you all the details when he spoke to you?
Yes, he told me all that happened.
So his relationship with you was such that he volunteered to you the whole of this unhappy business?
Yes, as I said, he was a trusted friend.
So it's nonsense to suggest that you are unqualified to say whether or not he is a man of integrity.
Absolute nonsense. No one's ever known him better.
Thank you, Mr. Lawford-Brown. No further questions?
Besides, I wouldn't commit perjury for any friend, however old.
You may go, Mr. Lawford-Brown.
That's the case for the prosecution, my lord.
My lord, I had naturally intended calling the defendant, Mrs. Grace Moresby, as my first witness. However, since the trial began, a new witness has come forward, and I feel that the court should hear his evidence.
Who is this witness and what is his connection with the case?
His name is John Bray, my lord, and he was a working colleague of Geoffrey Hainton.
John Bray, please. We'll come to it.
What is your religion?
Church of England.
Take the book in your right hand and read aloud the words on the card.
I swear by Almighty God that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
You are John Reginald Bray of 16 Sylvan Road, Upper Norwood, London.
I am.
Mr. Lotterby, I assume that you have no objection to this witness being called.
No, my lord, I have no objection. My learned friend has discussed this witness's evidence with me.
And you hold the position of chief buyer in the furniture department in Brewster's of Piccadilly.
Yes, I do.
Now, you are acquainted with Geoffrey Hainton, are you not?
Yes, we worked together before the war in Wales. It was in a small theatre company. I was an actor myself in those days, but I gave it up years ago. I didn't like the life, no real security.
Mr. Bray, why did you come down to Fulchester to the trial?
I read about it in the papers in London. I was quite shocked, really. I mean, you don't expect people you know to get mixed up in sordid court
no,
cases.
but, Mr. Bray, what was your reason for coming today? Was it curiosity?
Certainly not. I felt I had to come. Well, I told your clerk, you know that.
Yes, but the court does not, Mr. Bray.
I knew that there was something that must come up in this trial. It happened a long time ago, and I was afraid that therefore it might be suppressed. And as I sat in this court yesterday, I realized that that is exactly what was happening. It wasn't going to be mentioned at all. In 1937, Geoffrey Hainton was involved in an incident with a 9-year-old girl. The police were called in.
Will you please describe the incident to us, Mr. Bray?
We were rehearsing a Christmas production. Half a dozen local children were brought in to play small parts. The child I referred to had a short scene with Geoffrey Wiggett.
Did you say Wiggett, Mr. Bray? Geoffrey Wiggett?
Yes, that is the name I knew him by in those days. He changed his name when he left Wales and went to London.
I see. And how soon after this Christmas production did he go to London?
Immediately after it.
Please continue.
Well, Geoffrey used to rehearse this scene alone with the little girl, just the two of them in the green room together. And one morning, when the rest of us were rehearsing on stage, this child suddenly came bursting out of the green room. She was crying. I went to the green room to find Geoffrey, but he was gone. We didn't see him again until the afternoon, when the little girl's mother came to the theatre with a policeman. Geoffrey went with them to the director's office.
Was any kind of charge made?
Yes. I was asked, just because I happened to be there, you understand, to go to the director's office as a witness, which I did.
And what happened?
The girl's mother accused Geoffrey of interfering sexually with the girl.
Did he say anything?
Yes, he said it was nonsense. She was only upset because he'd slapped her, because she was rude.
Now, do you know if there were any subsequent legal proceedings?
No, the whole thing was hushed up completely. Of course, there was a lot of unpleasant gossip in the company about it, but I prefer to think there'd just been some sort of misunderstanding.
I've no more questions, Mr. Bray.
Lotterby, I take it that you will want to recall Mr. Hainton to the witness box.
Yes, my lord. Mr. Bray, is it not a fact that this policeman who came to the theatre on that dramatic day was the father of the little girl?
Well, I didn't know that.
I see, but I presume you were aware that this same police officer was a member of the theatre's board of directors?
No, I don't think I was aware of that.
You don't think you were aware of that, I see.
When I say that I didn't know these particular things, it might be more correct to say that I didn't remember them. After all, this was over 30 years ago.
36 years, to be precise. And yet the story you told us might have happened last week. You related it so vividly.
Well, it all came back to me very vividly when I read about this trial.
Yeah, well, let's say some of it came back to you, Mr. Bray. Did it stick in your memory that Mr. Hainton's decision to change his name occurred some 2 months before this incident, as soon as he knew he was to take a leading part in a West End production?
I only said that he changed his name before he went to London.
Thank you, Mr. Bray. I have no further questions.
Mr. Bray, no doubt you are aware that your appearance here in court could well result in the name of yourself and a Brewster's appearing in the newspapers. Now, do you think your employers will be happy about your involvement with such a case? I mean, are you taking something of a personal and professional risk in giving evidence?
Oh, no, I don't think so. I mean, if I should get my name or my picture in the paper, people would only remember that a top-ranking employee of Brewster's spoke up for justice.
Well, you may be right. Now, as to the question of a 30-year-old grudge or resentment...
I didn't feel any resentment. None whatsoever. I was absolutely delighted for Geoffrey. He was always a first-rate character actor, and still is, I believe. I confess, I was just a little doubtful about him being star material, and my doubts were proved true.
Thank you, Mr. Bray. No more questions.
Mr. Lotterby, I think that Mr. Hainton should be recalled now before any further defence witnesses are...
Very well, my lord.
You may go.
I recall Geoffrey Hainton.
You understand, of course, Mr. Hainton, that you are still on oath.
Lord. Mr. Hainton, do you recall the incident that Mr. Bray so generously put himself out to come and tell us about?
Yes, I do, but frankly I'd forgotten all about it until he brought it up.
Do you remember what actually took place?
Oh, it's very simple, really. I was given the wretched job of coaching this child who was totally without talent. And she went on and on. I kept complaining. I kept saying to her, you know, you must learn your lines and you must concentrate, otherwise I shall get you the sack, which I did that day. Then her parents came up and complained. I'm glad to say the director of production stood by me.
Well, Mr. Bray has suggested that you had indecently assaulted the child. Is that true?
No, I don't know where he dreamt that one up from. Bray was the leading actor of the company just before I joined it. He gave me a very bad time. In truth, I must say, we don't like each other.
I see. Thank you, Mr. Hainton.
No questions, my lord.
Very well, you may go, Mr. Hainton. Miss Tate, your next witness.
I call Mrs. Grace Moresby, my lord.
What is your religion?
Church of England.
Take the book in your right hand and read aloud the words on the card.
I swear by Almighty God that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
You're Mrs. Grace Marjorie Moresby of 9 Quaker House, Kingsley Road, New Cross, London.
Yes.
And you're a housewife with part-time employment at the Majestic Cinema.
Yes.
Now, will you tell us what happened in the cinema on the afternoon of April the 7th last?
Now, Mrs. Moresby, you really must try to speak up and answer the questions so that the jury may hear your side of the story. And remember, we are here to help you.
Yes, my lord.
Now, Mrs. Moresby, just tell us all you know about what happened that afternoon in the cinema.
Well, the first thing I knew, my Tracy came running out into the foyer. She was crying, and she said a horrible man had hit her. I asked her to show me where he was, so she took me back inside, and he was standing in the aisle. She pointed at him, and she said, "There he is, Mum, that's him." And I thought, it can't be. It just can't be.
Now, why did you think that, Mrs. Moresby?
Well, he's in my scrapbook. I collect pictures and stories about people I like on television.
You mean you recognize Mr. Hainton?
Oh, yes. Well, he was in the film, you see. That was what was such a shock, to see him standing there in the aisle when I'd been nipping in to see his bit in the picture every day that week. There was my Tracy, pointing at him, saying that he'd hit her. I just couldn't take it in.
Did he admit to having hit Tracy?
Well, he said, is this your little girl? She's been behaving very rudely. Then my Tracy started to cry again, and then he said, your little girl's not normal. You ought to take better care of her.
Now, did this make you angry, as Mr. Hainton has said?
No. No, not angry. I said, wait. I said, I'll get the manager. You see, I thought if I got him, he could tell him that what he just said about Tracy wasn't true. But when I came back with Mr. Blake, he'd gone. He'd just gone.
How much time would have elapsed between you going to get the manager and then your coming back into the cinema?
Oh, not more than 2 minutes.
And did you think it suspicious that he'd left so quickly?
No. No, I was disappointed. I think I was thinking more about his feelings than I was about Tracy's. About how he would be thinking that I was a bad mother.
What did Tracy say?
Oh, she didn't say anything. I asked her all the way home, what did you do? Anyway, when I got her home, I sat her down and said she'd got to tell me. And when she told me that she'd spat in his face, well, I just grabbed her and I said, I'm going to give you a hiding that you'll remember the rest of your life. And she screamed, don't, Mum, don't. He interfered with me. That's why I did it. She said she stepped on his foot when she was trying to get past him, and that he slapped her. And that's when she spat at him. Then he took her by the legs and he lifted her clothing and he started to pat her and touch her.
And you still thought she was making it all up? You didn't believe her at all?
I wasn't even thinking about that. I was far too busy thinking about my own troubles.
What troubles, Mrs. Moresby?
Tracy's father left us.
Did he leave you for someone else?
Oh, yes. Just like all the rest, my lord. Always thinking about the one thing. She's scarcely 20 years old. She's not even half his age. Of course, I didn't tell Tracy that. No, I told her that he'd been sent away on a job up north. I mean, I didn't let on, you understand. I pretended so she wouldn't guess. And there he was, telling me that I was a bad mother.
Who, Mrs. Moresby?
Him, I mean. See, I was thinking that if he just stayed and listened, I could have told him. I couldn't sleep all night for thinking about it. And in the middle of the night, I thought to myself, I'll get up and I'll go and see him.
Mrs. Moresby, do I understand you to be saying that your sole reason for coming all the way here to Fulchester to see Mr. Hainton was to convince him that you were a good mother?
Yes.
I must say I find that rather hard to believe.
Well, you see, my lord, it was the first time in all these months that I'd let my feelings out. I'd been bottling them up, I suppose. First my husband, then Tracy. Always laughing, not crying. I knew the neighbours were talking. I just thought if I could have told him how hard things had been, he would have listened. He would have understood me, you see. Sympathised. Like he was a vicar or something. Not the filthy beast he is, just like all the rest of them.
The case of the Queen against Moresby will be resumed tomorrow in the Crown Court. The trial of Mrs. Grace Moresby enters its final day in the Crown Court. Mrs. Moresby is charged with attempted blackmail. Geoffrey Hainton, an actor in his 50s, says that Mrs. Moresby came to his house in Fulchester, accused him of an indecent sexual attack on her daughter in a cinema the day before, and demanded £100 from him. He claims her accusation is a fabrication. He says he only slapped 10-year-old Tracy for being rude and noisy. Mrs. Moresby's counsel has strongly suggested that Hainton's hasty exit from the cinema indicates that there was a sexual assault and that he was trying to avoid the consequences.
Now, Mrs. Moresby, you say the reason you went to visit Mr. Hainton was because you didn't believe Tracy's story of a sexual assault, and you wanted a chance to explain to him how difficult life had been for you in the past months.
Yes.
How did you come to be able to find his house?
Well, he's in my scrapbook. It's all about him and his garden. So I just took the first train down here Sunday morning. I looked him up in the phone book and got a taxi straight to his house.
Now, Mr. Hainton has said that the first words you said when he saw you on the doorstep were, "Are you Geoffrey Hainton? I'm Tracy's mother. It's about yesterday afternoon."
Yes, that's what I said.
And he says you then pushed past him into the house.
Well, I didn't. I wouldn't. No, he just stared at me for a moment. I thought he'd forgotten all about it. Then he took my arm and he said, "Come inside."
Now, did you say, "I've decided not to put the police on to you, but you've got to make it up to me"?
No. There was no thoughts of the police in my mind at that time. Anyway, I didn't have a chance to say anything, because as soon as we got into the hall, he said to me, "I didn't hurt your little girl, you know. I didn't harm her." Fool that I was. I thought he was so kind that he'd been worrying about Tracy. So I plucked up my courage and I looked straight at him and I asked him, "Will you help me?" Then the next thing. Oh, well, just like that. I knew everything.
What was the next thing, Mrs. Moresby?
He looked at me like I was dirt. And he said, "I'll give you £100. How much do you want?"
And what did you do?
Well, I didn't know what to do. I mean, I just stared at him for a moment. Then I moved away from him. And I found myself somewhere to sit down.
What did Mr. Hainton do then?
Oh, he followed me. He followed me. He was talking and talking all the time. I mean, I couldn't hear what he was saying because I was trying to get things sorted out in my own mind. But then I realized that what he was saying was £100. Yes, that's what he was saying. £100. I'll give you £100.
Now, Mr. Hainton has said that you became hysterical. Is that true?
No. I heard him say that, but it's a lie. It wasn't me. It was him. When I said I wouldn't take £1,000 if he offered it to me, he went off like a rocket. He was like somebody having a fit. He just screamed and screamed at me, and he kept pointing his finger at me and saying horrible things about Tracy. I was frightened. I ran to the phone and I said, "I'm going to phone the police." But he took it away from me. And he said, "If anybody's going to phone the police, it's going to be me," he said, "and I shall put you in prison." And he telephoned them.
At no time did you ask Mr. Hainton for money?
Never. I swear I never did.
Now, Mrs. Moresby, I have to ask you a few questions about your financial affairs. I gather that your husband pays yourself and Tracy maintenance.
Yes, £20 every week.
Isn't that a generous amount?
It's the wages of sin. It's the very least he could do.
And you're able to rely on it? He pays you regularly?
Yes. Yes, we have a money order every Friday.
And the part-time job at the Majestic Cinema, how much do you earn there?
£12 a week.
So, in fact, you have a comfortable weekly income?
Yes, we've plenty to live on.
And your rent is how much?
£4.
Do you have any hire purchase commitments?
No, only the television. I don't hold with hire purchase.
So we can safely say that money is not one of the problems in your life?
Like I said, Tracy and I have plenty to live on.
Thank you, Mrs. Moresby. Wait there, please.
Nobody heard Tracy's story but you, Mrs. Moresby. She didn't come out with a word about it in the cinema. Nobody saw it. There are no witnesses to this alleged assault. It wasn't Tracy who invented this molesting story, was it? It was you, Mrs. Moresby. It would take a very bad mother indeed to care more what a television actor thought of her than of her own child's feelings. But it would take an even worse mother to involve that child in a conspiracy to make some quick cash, which is in fact what you did.
No, I did not. I did not.
And here was an ideal victim, someone with money and a reputation to protect.
But that's not true.
You say that during the hard and lonely months after your husband left you for a younger woman, you behaved in the manner of a courageous and very loving mother.
Yes, I did.
Such a woman as that couldn't behave in the manner you were telling the court that you behaved during those 2 days. I mean, you do see the discrepancy.
You're twisting everything. I mean, I've said time and again that I'm deeply ashamed of the way I treated Tracy. I did say that.
Well, it would look very bad for you if you didn't say that, Mrs. Moresby. But I'm not interested in what you say now about your feelings. I'm interested in your feelings, or rather lack of feelings, at that time. Mrs. Moresby, how many hours a week do you work in the sweet kiosk at the cinema?
What? Well, 11 hours.
11 hours. £12. That's very good pay, isn't it, for tending a sweet kiosk, over £1 an hour?
I do some extra work.
Now, what sort of work?
I do some cleaning. It's only to oblige. The manager couldn't find anybody else to do it.
Yes. Yes, you do this cleaning for 3 hours every morning between 9 and 12, and on Saturdays from 7 to 9, and again from 11 to 12 after the children's picture show, and on Sundays again from 7 to 9. Have I got that right?
Yes.
Yes, well, by my reckoning, that means that you're working for 30 pence an hour. Not very good pay at all, in fact.
Well, he pays me less for the cleaning. Well, it is only temporary. I'm just doing it to oblige. He's always given me £8 a week for the kiosk.
£8 a week for the kiosk.
Yes.
So as you do 20 hours work cleaning a week, that pays you at even less. That's only 20 pence an hour.
My lord, I feel obliged to ask whether my learned friend's bookkeeping is of any relevance.
Yes, Miss Tate, I confess I'm finding these mathematical calculations a little puzzling. What are you intending to suggest by this line of inquiry?
Well, Lord, my learned friend has tried to establish that Mrs. Moresby is not in need of money. I'm trying to establish that she is, in fact, in great need of money, and that she's taken on a highly unsatisfactory extra job in order to get it. A job which must separate her from her daughter for long periods of time.
Very well.
Now, surely, Mrs. Moresby, if you'd wanted to take up a cleaning job in addition to your work at the kiosk, you could have found a better paid one than that. The going rate for cleaners, I'm reliably informed, is more like 50 pence an hour, is it not?
I've already said that I'm just doing it to oblige.
Mrs. Moresby, the true position is that the manager threatened to dispense with your services altogether if you didn't take this extra job. Now, isn't that right? I asked you a question, Mrs. Moresby. I would be grateful if you'd answer it.
Well, he just said he may have to find somebody else.
My lord, I still cannot see where all this is leading. These irrelevant and exhaustive questions have proved only one thing, that Mrs. Moresby has preference about the kind of work she does.
Yes, Mr. Lotterby. You said that you intended to establish that Mrs. Moresby needed money. Well, so far those intentions have not been realised.
I'm coming to that point now, my lord. Mrs. Moresby, how long have you been doing this extra job at the cinema?
Well, I can't remember. A few weeks. About the middle of March, I think.
From the second week in March, I believe.
Yes, I think that's right.
And was it not in the second week of March that the five-star boutique was sold to a new management? The boutique where your sister used to work.
Who's been talking about my sister?
Questions are my department, Mrs. Moresby, not yours. When did your sister go off to America?
February.
It's all rather sudden, wasn't it?
A bit. Things like that do happen, you know. She met this American fellow and he was going back there, so they got engaged and she went with him.
She married him?
No, I said they were engaged.
You didn't say if they were married.
Well, I don't know. I haven't heard for a bit.
You're very fond of your sister, aren't you?
Of course I am.
Before she went to America, your sister bought herself a trousseau at the five-star boutique, didn't she?
Yes, she did, but I don't see that's
To be
anybody's...
more accurate, she obtained it from the boutique, but she didn't pay for a single thing, did she, Mrs. Moresby?
She had credit. They gave her credit.
But she didn't
stealing.
pay, did she? Not even the little dress for Tracy, the coat for you was a goodbye present. None of these things were paid for, were they, Mrs. Moresby?
No right to tell you things like that. It's private and confidential.
She left the country owing the five-star boutique just under £300, isn't that correct?
Yes.
She left no forwarding address, and you haven't heard from her since. Is that correct, too?
Yes.
And now you are paying off the debt.
She'll pay me back.
The former manageress is a friend of yours, and you were paying her back at the rate of £2 a week, weren't you?
Yes.
And when the shop changed hands, the new management wanted the debt to be dispatched more promptly. They wanted £10 a week.
And they're getting it.
Oh, they're getting it from you, yes. And you didn't want anyone to know about the debt, which is why you didn't want to leave your old job, give rise to any talk in the neighbourhood, any curiosity from Tracy. Mrs. Moresby, when you came back into the cinema that afternoon and realised that Mr. Hainton had left, you suddenly saw a quick way of paying that money back. Now, that's the truth, isn't it? Mrs. Moresby, £100 could immediately take off you 1/3 of the pressure of this debt. And who knew how much more Geoffrey Hainton would be good for? Blackmailers very seldom stop at one demand, do they?
I'm not a blackmailer.
Well, we could hardly expect you to say that you were, Mrs. Moresby. After all, you have pleaded not guilty to the charge.
And I'm not.
Aren't you, Mrs. Moresby? From what we've heard in this court, it's clear that you had the motive, the imagination, and that you took the opportunity to become exactly that. I have no further questions.
Mrs. Moresby, you have been paying off this debt of your sister's regularly, have you?
Yes, regularly, every week.
So although it's not an easy thing for you to do, you have been doing it. Has it been very hard on you, this cleaning job?
Well, could have been worse.
In fact, you're surviving it and you're making the payments?
Yes.
You did need money, and you got it by hard work in order to protect your sister's reputation.
Yes.
And after all the weeks of struggling and trying to keep it a secret, you say that you suddenly felt that you'd reached breaking point.
First my husband, then my sister, then my own daughter. Just seemed like there wasn't anybody to look after me.
Now, Mrs. Moresby, you told us that these people in your scrapbook have a very special thing for you.
Yes. Well, I always thought they must be different. Not like other people.
Ideal, in fact.
Yes. I was so sure that one of them couldn't have done what Tracy said he did. I couldn't listen to her. I couldn't let it be true. I'll never forgive myself for it. I don't know how my mind could have worked like that. But it did.
Perhaps, Mrs. Moresby, because for once you were not reacting as a wife or a mother or a sister, but as a person in your own right. Now, just one more question, Mrs. Moresby. Does Tracy know why you're in court today?
No. No, I just told her the man had come in front of the judge and that we would have to answer some questions in court.
Thank you, Mrs. Moresby. I won't have to ask you anything else.
You may leave the witness box, Mrs. Moresby.
I call Tracy Moresby, my lord.
Excuse me, Your Honor. Could I ask you a favour?
What is that, Mrs. Moresby?
Well, when Tracy comes into court, could I sit somewhere else, please? Not in the dock.
Yes, I think that will be all right. You'd better sit over there next to your solicitor.
Thank you,
Now, members of the jury, before Miss Moresby comes into court, I have to tell you that I have to decide whether or not a child or a young person should take the oath. Now, I will ask Miss Moresby one or two questions, and then I will decide. If I decide that she can be sworn in, then of course she will give her evidence on oath. If I decide that she cannot be sworn in because I don't think she understands the meaning of the word oath, then of course she will give her evidence anyway. Now, what weight you attach to her evidence, whether given on oath or not, is of course a matter for you. We'll have Miss Moresby brought in, please.
Tracy Moresby, please.
Miss Moresby, do you understand what is meant by being sworn in a court of law?
Yes, sir. When you say I promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God.
And you realize that it is considered a crime when a person takes the oath and then does not tell the truth?
Yes, sir. My mum says you can go to prison for telling lies to judges.
So that if you swear on the Bible to speak the truth, you must be very careful that every word you say in this court is absolutely true. You must keep nothing back, but answer truthfully all the questions that are put to you.
Yes, sir.
Very well. Have Miss Moresby sworn in, please.
Hold the Bible in your right hand and read aloud the words on this card.
I promise before Almighty God that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
You are Tracy Francis Moresby of 9 Quaker House, Kingsley Road, New Cross, London.
Yes.
And you're 10 years old.
10.5?
Now, Tracy, I want to ask you just a few questions about something that happened in the Majestic Cinema on Saturday afternoon, April the 7th. Can you remember what happened?
Yes, a man interfered with me.
Can you see that man in court today?
He's there, that's him.
Now, will you tell us in your own words exactly what happened from the beginning?
Well, when I stepped on his foot...
No, Tracy, from when you first saw him is what I meant. Tell us all that took place between you in the cinema.
Well, he got mad with me when I tried to get out past him. He was sitting on the end of my row. I was in the middle. I just wanted to get out.
Now, did you get past him more than once?
Yes.
Can you remember how many times?
4 times, or maybe 5, I'm not sure.
At any rate, it was several times. Now, did he speak to you about it?
Not until the last time. Before that, he was just sort of making like I wasn't there.
How do you mean?
Well, he wouldn't move his legs for me to get past.
And you're absolutely sure that he only spoke to you once?
Yes.
And when he did speak to you, what did he say?
He said, "Sit down and shut up."
What did you say?
I was rude to him.
How?
I said, "Shut up, you dumb old freak."
Did you say it very loudly?
Well, yes, I thought it'd make the other kids laugh.
And then what happened?
He slapped me right on the leg.
And what did you do?
I spat in his face.
And what did he do then, Tracy?
He pulled me up against him, grabbed me by my legs here, and he put his hands up under my skirt, and he patted them all over my bottom.
And what did you do?
I cried. Then he let me go. And when I got up to run for my mum, he got up. I thought he was coming after me.
Where was your mother?
She sells sweets in the kiosk.
Now, what did you say to her?
I said, "A horrid old man hit me."
You didn't tell her what else he'd done?
No.
Why not, Tracy?
Well, I knew she'd go mad if I did. Besides, I didn't want her to talk about that, not in front of everybody.
And so your mother came back with you into the cinema?
Yes, and he was there walking right up the middle. And I pointed to him, and I told her that was him.
What did your mother do?
She just stopped. I kept saying, "That's him." And I was sort of pushing her towards him, but she wouldn't move.
Now, did the man speak to your mother?
Yes. He said, "Your little girl's been very rude to me," and I started crying again. It wasn't fair. I was rude, I know, but not like he was. But then he said to my mum that I wasn't normal and that she should take care of me better. And then my mum said, "I'll fetch the manager."
Now, is that how she said it?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, did she sound angry?
Well, sometimes you can't tell whether my mum's angry or if she's just upset. She gets sort of puffy in her voice, and that's how it was then.
And you went with her to fetch the manager?
Yes, but when we all came back, he was gone. And then me and my mum went home.
Now, when you were alone with your mother, did you tell her what had happened then?
No.
Why not?
Well, I was going to, but as soon as we get outside, she starts going on at me like everything's my fault. She kept asking me what I did. Well, I was mad with her then, so I wouldn't talk to her.
But when you got home, did you tell her?
I wasn't going to, but she got that cross and she said I had to tell her. So I said I spat in his face, and she went wild and went for me. And then I started crying again, and I did tell her.
What did she say?
She said I was making it up. She kept saying it wasn't true. She just wouldn't believe me. Then she sent me to bed. But it was all right the next day. Before I even got up, she went off to his house to tell him off and get him put in prison.
Now, Tracy, she didn't tell you before she went what she was going to do, did she?
No. But when she got back, she said she was ever so sorry she didn't believe me at first.
Thank you, Tracy. I have no more questions.
Tracy, could you tell me again what the man did to you after you spat in his face?
He grabbed me by both of my legs here and he pulled me up against him. He put his hands up under my skirt and he patted them all over my bottom.
Now, Tracy, I wrote down what you said when my friend asked you that same question. You used the very same words.
Oh, she asked me the same question.
And did you talk about what you would say when you were asked what the man had done?
No, she just said I should be very careful to tell the truth. So I practiced saying it and I learnt it off by heart.
Why did you do that? Was it really your own idea?
Yes. She didn't believe it first off, see, because he's on the telly. That was the trouble. She kept getting mixed up, thinking a famous person wouldn't do like what he'd done to me. Lots of people won't believe what children say, so I thought I'd better be sure I said it right.
So you learned it by heart and practiced it on your own? You're quite sure of that?
Yes. Besides, if you have to say something that's embarrassing, it's easier if you just say it over and over again until you get used to it, and that way you don't mind so much.
Tracy, when you spat in that man's face, wasn't he just trying to push you away?
No! He's telling a lie. I knew he'd say that. He pulled me up against him. He pulled me up against him.
Thank you, Tracy. No further questions?
Tracy, on the day that you were trying to tell your mother about what the man had done, did she have out this scrapbook of hers?
Oh, yes. She showed me his picture. She went on and on about him. She thought he pushed me away like that too, with his arm.
Now, why do you say with his arm?
Because that's what she thought he must have done. But it's a lie, him saying that. And she knew it was next day when she got home, or else she wouldn't have asked me all those questions. Where his hands wasn't, like what he'd done to me and all that.
But the day before, she wouldn't listen to you. She just wouldn't believe you at all.
No, she kept shutting me up. But when she knew it wasn't me lying, but him, she didn't shut me up then.
Thank you, Tracy. That's all.
Now, this has not been an easy case for a jury to hear and assess. Now, the first thing I want to say to you is this, that no matter whatever your opinions may be about a sexual assault on Tracy Moresby, that is not what we are met here today to examine. Now, your clear task is to determine whether Geoffrey Hainton was threatened by a scheming woman, or whether this woman genuinely turned to him for reassurance and support and was faced with an offer of money. Either, as she has maintained, she was in a kind of obsessive need for this reassurance brought on by the strains of the previous week, or, as Mr. Hainton has told us, she was prepared to victimize him for her own ends. Now, the relevance of what actually happened in the cinema is this. If a man had actually committed an indecent assault, he might be more likely to volunteer payment for immunity against prosecution than if he had done nothing wrong. But the vital question is this. Did the accused demand and threaten a prosecution if she did not get money? Now, members of the jury, before you can convict Mrs. Moresby, you must be absolutely certain that the prosecution has proved beyond all reasonable doubt that that is what she did. Now, would you kindly retire and consider your verdict?
All stand. Members of the jury, will your foreman please stand? Answer this question yes or no. Have you reached a verdict on which you're all agreed?
Yes.
Do you find the prisoner, Mrs. Grace Moresby, guilty or not guilty of attempted blackmail?
Not guilty.
Following the acquittal of Mrs. Moresby, the police reopened their investigations and charged Mr. Hainton with indecent assault. Next week, our cameras return to join another jury in the Crown Court.